All right, this morning I got to watch Melania. Yes, Melanie. Yes, that's right. The first lady, ex escort, adult entertainer, whatever, lecturing and bragging that a whole 8 Ukrainian children were reunited over this past. So, I mean, she has to contribute to the Trump show because we have the whole push for the Nobel Peace Prize. We have, which he's never going to get. We have the whole push for all this other bullshit the Trump show wants because Emmys aren't going to happen, Oscars aren't going to happen, and accolades from the people Trump really wants to happen aren't going to happen. So he'll take the dictator bullshit accolades that he can because that's all he gets. They see him as a useful tool and a puppet. He sees them as a ticket to the big show that he was never invited to. That's why he gets so butthurt when the Met Gala and places like that rescind his invitations or basically treat him like the piece that he is. This is all ego, narcissism, trust fund baby with a platinum spoon in daddy's wallet his whole life. All of that kind of colliding in the imperfect storm in the White House or the Gold House. I'm sure he'll try and rename that too. We have a man whose entire existence has to do with his ego. He has to be around young women and blah 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 and be young women, and because it feeds the ego, because all of the insecurities that he's had in his life that was always paid for and protected by daddy's money, he now has to rely on his own money. And since his business ventures were failing left and right, when he got into the job opportunity part 2 that he's in now, he had the 4-year break with all of his buddies, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Heritage, and all the Uncle Vladdy and Orban and El Salvador, and they got to come up with a plan to give him a new type of business that his dumbass never would have been involved in ever if he didn't have help. All right, Muscatina, you prick. So now it's crypto. So now he has a new tool he can force other countries to do business on that will make him money. So if it's not a real estate development and a golf course or a whatever, I don't know what, Syria and Dubai and every country, if it's not a $400 million debt, is giving him. But there's been billions of dollars in crypto deals in lieu of tariffs. There's been Starlink and SpaceX and all these other contracts that come out of all the other countries in lieu of tariffs because that's a grift he can capitalize on right now. His businesses, just ask Letitia James and everything else, everything was leveraged. All of his success in the past that people used to pretend was huge success, the gold-plated fake building stuff, the landlord contracts that he portrayed as owning the building, things like that. The facade he's lived under his whole life has basically been exposed as a fraud, not only in courts, but simple logic just looking at it. It's all a show, like everything else, which brings me back to my first point. If you think of it all like a show, it'll make perfect sense. Now, having said that, he has had to reform his entire business model and how he makes money, which is why more than 50% of his complete assets he's actually made since January 1st of this year. Nothing for the other 80 years of conning that's how much of a change has been in this guy's wallet. So his authoritarian stuff and all the things with Putin and all the scumbags we shouldn't be in bed with, that's where he's getting all these ideas. That's where he's getting all this power. And that's where he's getting the bigly genius stuff. And when he screws over the people who give him the ideas, there's this big argument breakup like Muscatina. This is how it is. It's a show. So if you pay attention to the big picture, you will notice that he's basically taking advantage of a situation that was put in front of him, and his stupidity will eventually blow it all up. So we can have faith in that his stupidity, his arrogance, his narcissism will piss off the very people he relies on to keep him in power and to keep him going. And he will eventually be 25'd, or some other version of 86 to get him the hell out. So the real plan, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, and all those people could take over. There's forces working against that in every corner of this earth that will win. It's a race, and pay attention, be on the right side, and keep your eyes open, because this guy's a fucking idiot.